I'm going to tell you a story about my childhood. At first you're going to think, man, that was a messed up little dude. And then you're going to think, what in the world does this have to do with Matthew chapter 11? But if you just hang with me for a few minutes, I think it'll make sense. When I was about 6 years old, I had this dream of sorts, this vision that I was going to be a war leader. I had this vision of me. Of course, at this time I was a grown man in this dream. I was dragging men off of a battlefield. Now, at that time, I was obsessed with military. Already at 6 years old, I was obsessed with military tactics, and I'd already watched movies like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket and Hamburger Hill, which probably not that good for a small kid that age. But anyways, I had this vision that this was going to be me. I was going to get medals pinned on my chest. I was going to be a great warrior, and dragging men off the battlefield. I even had one dream where I was lifted up above my funeral, and there was an American flag draped on my coffin, and the soldiers were folding it up and they handed it to my mom. So I was convinced at that point that what my destiny was to be a soldier, that I was going to be fighting against other men in uniform that I could clearly see. A battle with guns and knives of such, and a fleshly battle. And so I sold out to that completely. That was what I wanted to do 100%. I always admired combat veterans and still do to this day. I think they're the best we have to offer. And that was my dream. I wanted to join the Marine Corps. Forget about college, forget about all that. I wanted to go straight to infantry and straight to war to fulfill this destiny that I had instilled inside of me. And well, long story short, a lot of things took place. I fell in love with my son's mom. That was one big thing that kept me from going off to the military. I got sidetracked with a whole lot of other stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. So that kind of shut that dream down after high school. But I always thought that somehow, in my early adult life, I always thought that somehow I would get back to that. That I was going to fulfill this destiny. I was going to be this, I was going to drag men off the battlefield and have those medals pinned to my chest. It's what I wanted more than anything, and I was willing to die for that. Well, a lot of disappointments and a lot of setbacks later, I realized that, that's never going to happen. And I got led astray, and it just devastated me. I felt like I was never going to fulfill this destiny. And I knew it. I knew it with all my heart that was who I was, and that's what I was supposed to do. And knowing that in your heart, and then coming to the realization that it's never going to happen, it will destroy you. And that's what it did to me. I just couldn't deal with the fact that I had missed out on what I was called to do. My carnal mind, what had happened was this destiny was planted in me as a little boy by God. That's what I was always supposed to do. I was supposed to be a war leader. I was supposed to drag men off the battlefield, and I was going to get a reward. But it was never supposed to be a battlefield fought over power or land or oil, started by some politician 10,000 miles away who didn't ever step foot on the battlefield. God put that in me because I was supposed to be a spiritual war leader. And I was supposed to be fighting a battle over good and evil, over people's souls. And rather than medals pinned on my chest that were going to rust and be destroyed and wouldn't last, he wanted to give me a white robe and a crown. I was always meant to be a war leader. But you see, the devil, he took my little carnal mind and he used those war movies, and he used that idea of what a soldier was to twist it. He twisted my destiny, and those preconceived notions that I had about what I was supposed to do, about this calling that I had, it twisted it, And it made me miss who Jesus was and what he was supposed to do in my life. And for many, many years, I walked this earth lost, destroyed, defeated, until one day I found the Lord, and the Lord found me, and he showed me that destiny and those dreams, they were real. That was what I was supposed to do with my life. Only I had taken it, and my carnal mind had twisted it into something else. I wasn't supposed to be out there fighting with guns and knives. I wasn't supposed to be dragging men off of a battlefield somewhere 10,000 miles away. And I wasn't supposed to get those medals pinned on my chest, although I still to this day would have loved that. And like I said, I admire those men more than anybody else besides the Lord. I think that they're the best we have to offer here on earth. But I also believe that there's a more important battle to be fought. The battle over good and evil. The battle over people's souls. And I think that I've realized now that that's what I am doing, you know. When I have guys come to work for me, beat up and pushed down, and all the broken promises the world told them that things were gonna make them happy, they're just destroyed and crushed. And they come out there with us. We do devotionals in the morning. I tell them about Jesus. I tell them about where I was at and how he can do the same thing for them that he did for me. So in a sense, I am pulling men off the battlefield. In a sense, I am a warrior, but a warrior for the Lord, and not out there with guns and knives. But we're not fighting against an enemy in uniform that we can see. We're fighting against powers and principalities of the dark.